It's not a good day. It's not. Yeah, basically. Let me just start off by saying this. On all my live videos, I always say I have probably the best predictions on YouTube, and if I'm wrong, then just know that 99% of every other channel is also wrong. So, I mean, and also I've been doing so well for the past couple of months, basically. Since UFC 300, I've been performing so well. I've been performing above average, for not above average, but like I've been doing really well. You know, um, Obviously it's because I changed some of my prediction analysis since UFC 300. So there are nights like these, where I don't get like 11 out of 12, but um, I'm okay with knowing that my subscribers at least got the amount of picks correct that they got. And I feel like my analysis was pretty good, because ultimately when I break down fights, it's not necessarily only about the picks; it's also about the breakdowns, who I feel is going to win and where the advantage will be. Um, yeah, man, it's a gold tooth, man. Like, don't laugh. I got it when I was like 16 years old, and I like it now. And it's been carved into my tooth, so it's gonna be difficult to remove it. So I just thought like, why not just leave it? Anyway, don't get me off the topic. This is about UFC, not my gold tooth. Let's get to the fights. The first fight was Knudsen versus Polastri. Um, Knudsen looked a little bit more improved than I anticipated. Obviously, I picked her, but I didn't expect her to look as good as she did. It seems like the UFC. I like what the UFC is doing. Shine good, man. Shines good. Thank you, man. I like what the UFC is doing with Josephine Knudsen, because they are slowly building her, and I think it's working because she's continuously improving. And I like also the fact that Josephine Knudsen is also trying to improve by going to different areas, training with people like Hamza Chimaev. That can only do wonders for her. So I can't say I was really impressed, but I'm actually happy with her performance. Obviously, Poleski looked so scared, not ready yet. Knudsen looked solid. Yeah, Polastri looked a little bit worried. I think it's also because of the striking, and I feel like if she had tried to grapple a little bit more, she might have had a bit of success. Because when she actually decided to grapple, she got like a bit of success there. But I guess it's also maybe because of how Knudsen was fighting. Also, I feel like Knudsen needs to work on her takedown defense, because if she faces a higher or a better grappler, she's gonna be in a serious situation. But like I said at the beginning, I mean, she's doing the right things. She's going around, trying to improve her skills, all around, not just one area. She should have grappled 100%. Yeah, that's what I thought, because she had success whenever she did, and it didn't seem like Kalinson had any sort of response, a solid response. But it's women's MMA, so like, I mean, you can't expect the best. Anyway, I got this one correct. My subscribers went with Palastri. For sure, has to work on her takedown defense. Yeah, yeah, I think she's going to improve. I think she's been improving since she debuted, or rather, since I saw her on the Contender Series. Anyway, let's go on to the next one: Costa versus Shailean Becky. Um, this was this was an interesting one. because I feel like Shaylan Becky, Shaylan what? Yeah, Shaylan was looking good. I feel like he was winning that particular fight, but he gassed out. And Costa was like relentless. I think Costa is good, but it seems as if you run out of gas, I wish Costa was a little bit more consistent, right? Because he was losing that fight up until the finish, and which is always a good thing, because that's what Tony Ferguson used to do sometimes. He would be in these wars, but ultimately he would manage to win. But yeah, let me see. Costa played possum. I got that one wrong. Yeah, I also got that one wrong. I honestly thought, what do you call him, Shaylan would win, and I feel like he was. He was performing really well, in that particular fight. However, for whatever reason, I feel like he got tired, and I didn't expect that because he was the smaller guy. So as the smaller guy, I was hoping, or rather, I thought, well, he didn't have to cut that much, which would give him maybe the cardio advantage. But for some reason, Costa looked like he had the cardio advantage, which sucked a little bit. But yeah, it was a decent fight. I mean, there wasn't that much of. It was just, Shaylan just taking him down and just controlling him on the ground. There wasn't nothing like significant that Shaylan was doing on the ground. Costa better clean it up. The Asian has a solid body. Um, the Asian has a solid body. Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm saying that like it's gonna be very difficult for him to ascend the ranks. Largely because I feel like he allows himself to lose the fight. I mean, if Shaylan didn't guess out, he would have lost that fight. So what happens when he faces someone who doesn't guess out? So that's why I'm like, Costa is inconsistent for me. I don't regret my pick, but I got it wrong this time, I guess. It happens. On to the next one, Jega versus Wilson. I honestly didn't think. I typed I typed Asian because I can't spell his name. Oh, okay. Okay, I was a bit confused there. Thank you for clearing that up. Um, Jacob versus Wilson. This one shocked me. Also, largely because Jega also looked very good in that particular fight, however long it lasted. Um, and I still feel like he would have won, but he is not very good defensively. He allowed himself to get into like a compromising position. I'm not sure if, yeah, this is the fight where Jega actually put himself in that situation. Why would you slam? I mean, it has worked before. I mean, it worked for Cody Brandage. He slammed Zach Reese, and Zach Reese went unconscious. But in this particular situation, I don't feel like you should have been, risking it, especially when you have the advantage on the feet. Just disengage and stand with that particular person. So I feel like even though Weston Wilson won this particular fight, I feel like it's largely because of Jaka's low fight IQ. Why would you engage on the ground when you know you're not defensively good, especially if you know there are um, there are submissions like an armbar, there's a triangle, like you're not even addressing that because there were moments whereby he could have addressed that situation, but he didn't. So I think he lost because of IQ. I don't feel like it was because of skill. Hopefully, he's going to learn because he's still very young in his career in the UFC. So obviously, I mean, it's his second fight, I think, in the UFC. So I feel like he needs a little bit more time to improve. And actually get better and fight with these high level fighters in order to learn not to do certain things. Like it's better to just avoid a situation than to try and prove that you can hang with the best. Just stick to what you know. Israel Adesanya gets criticized a lot, but One thing is for sure, that guy knows he can't grapple, so he focuses on getting up. If you take him down, he focuses on getting up, and he uses what he's good at, which is striking. If you're good at one thing, don't try to do the other thing, especially against an opponent that is most likely better than you at it. Um, Let me reply, Wilson. Wow, he should have gotten a fight bonus. Um, didn't he? Yeah, no, the UFC didn't give him a bonus. I don't know why. Um, he should have gotten a bonus. Jega has zero ground game. Yeah, but like at the very least, if you don't have a good ground game, then avoid exchanging on the ground as opposed to avoid exchanging with people on the ground as opposed to getting submitted like that because like I feel like that was stupid in all honesty. He shouldn't have put himself in that situation, especially because I felt like he looked good, he looked powerful, he looked aggressive. I think he was going to win that fight. Unfortunately, he lost. He lost and he cost a lot of people money. I honestly, but in my prediction also, I felt like what, it could be close. These are things I think one of the biggest mistakes that I do when I do my predictions is that when I do my analysis, I forget to write down important things because I do so much on the channel on my own. Like if you go through the entire channel, I do everything alone that it becomes exhausting. So some of the things that I should be writing down, I forget. But I remember when I was doing my analysis, a lot of the fights. I think even in my prediction, my final prediction video, I did mention that there are a lot of fights on this particular card that are coin flips, and I remember even laughing about the fact that I wasn't confident about the previous card, and in the previous card I got like 11 out of 14. So I remember saying, "Wow, this is a lot harder than that was to predict," and I was right. But yeah, I felt like it was going to be a lot of the fights were going to be coin flips, and I'm not necessarily surprised at the outcome. But whenever I get anything more than three wrong, it affects me like emotionally. That's why my reaction video is coming out so late. Um, how do I subscribe? I'm sure isn't there a subscribe button here on the screen somewhere? If not, then damn, click on the name of the channel, and then I'm sure it'll take you to my channel, and then you can click subscribe there. But I'm hoping that there should be some like a subscribe button on the screen somewhere. Jeka looked confident and cocky. Yeah, I think maybe the loss will humble him. Sometimes a loss is important in order for a fighter to actually get back to their senses because sometimes overconfidence is a problem, especially as you become more popular. But I prefer a fighter to have a close fight. I'm already subscribed. Why would you ask me that? Okay, I appreciate you, but I never see you in the comment section, man. Um, I think you should check the shorts section of the channel. I'm always replying to comments. Anyway, let me not veer off my reaction. So I think Jake is still good. I think he has the potential to actually become really great, but I think he needs to work on his IQ. Um, Once the channel grows enough, I think I want to do my own statistics because the statistics from the UFC is sometimes inaccurate and it affects some of the decisions that a lot of people make. So once the channel grows enough, I'm going to employ a couple of people, including statisticians, so that we can get accurate statistics. And I want to include IQ. Because IQ is an important thing, and like a decision that people like Jaka made is an IQ decision. Skill for skill, I think Jaka is better, but the IQ decision was stupid. Let me reply. Um, who did you think won? Quinlan versus Fujit. I had Quinlan winning on round one and two. I don't know, man. I feel like Quinlan runs. Okay, you are getting me off topic. I'm going to get to that fight. Let me go through Judas and then Flick, then I'll get to Quinlan. I'll answer that now. Let me just go through the fights as they were. Let me go to the next one. I got the Jacob pick wrong. It sucked, but I've been doing so well for the past couple of months, so I can't be mad at myself for that. Anyway, on to the next one. Judice versus Fernandez. I saw someone in the comment section saying that Fernandez, or rather Judice, was robbed, and I honestly disagree with that. I feel like Fernandez won round one and two. I feel like I actually thought that Fernandez was going to finish that fight in the first round, and even in the second round, um, Fernandez landed the more significant shots, so I can't see why anyone would think that was a robbery. I don't know. I just saw a couple of people agreeing that Fernandez, or rather Judice, was robbed in that particular fight, and I honestly don't agree. I feel like the right person won in that particular fight, but um, Fernandez needs to work on her cardio. She looks massive, but for whatever reason, it seems like she struggles. Um, I don't know why, because okay, or maybe she should cut down. If all that muscle is weighing heavy on her, or maybe it's because she doesn't train cardio. But yeah, my subscribers and I picked Fernandez, and I think they got the fight of the something, a performance of the night, something like that. They got a bonus. Let me just put it that way. They got a bonus. My subscribers and I were correct on this one. On to the next one, Flick versus Menace. This card was very boring. This one, and I thought it would be one of those cards that were going to like be they would look moderate and then they would over deliver. This one looked okay, and then fights got pulled, and then on top of that, the fighters like didn't deliver as much, But I'm a fan. I'll watch anything, even if it's boring. So like, I'll watch anything, as long as it's the UFC. Anyway, um, it's it's frustrating because I don't know, man. I thought Flick would be able to get this one done. Yeah, there's nothing much to say about this one because I also don't feel like Menace is that good either. It was more about who is not that horrible between the both of them. Like this is how I look at this fight. Who was the less horrible? And it seems like it was Menace. Yeah, my subscribers got this one correct. I picked Flick. You know, MMA, MMA. Anyway, on to the next one: Quinlan versus Fujit. Wamai, this is the question that you asked. So you asked, who do you think won, Quinlan versus Fujit? I had Quinlan win in round one and round two. For me, it's a hard one to call, largely because I'm disappointed in Quinlan. For whatever reason, I thought he knew how to fight. Right? I was under the impression that Quinlan knew how to fight. Um, Obviously, Fujit is not that great. But I realized in this fight that Quinlan doesn't use technique. He just runs forward and then tries to punch you as he's running forward. Um, and he's now going to get into the top 15 if that's how he fights going forward. Because he doesn't use a technique like in order to fight. He literally, if you go back and watch that fight, whenever he tries to close the distance, he runs. Like he runs forward. The Superman punches were brain. Yeah, I was disappointed because especially after the who Barlow fight, I felt bad for Quinlan. I was like, you know what, Quinlan looked decent. Maybe it's because Barlow is really good, and Barlow is very good. But after yesterday, I realized that Josh Quinlan cannot fight. He might win the fights there and there, and who knows, maybe he'll improve as time progresses. But after that fight card, I realized that Josh Quinlan cannot fight, right? Or maybe he was fighting like that because he was at a reach disadvantage. But irrespective, I was so disappointed looking at him fight. So to answer your question, I don't know. I feel like Fujit was also horrible. He wasn't doing much in that particular fight. Hi, bro. How are you, bro? What do you think of Johnny Walker versus Volkan fight? I'm going to do final predictions. If you're not subscribed, just subscribe and turn on your notifications so that when I go live, you get a notification. So I'm not going to break it down here. But I already have, like, my predictions are already out for UFC Fight Night for Robert Whittaker versus um, Ikram Aliskarov on the shorts section. Go to the channel and then click on shorts. You'll find my predictions there. But I'll break down the entire card live during the course of this week. But for now, I'm doing like. But okay, let me just answer you on that one. I think it's going to be a coin flip. I think Johnny Walker should get this one done. I'll try and give you my reasons. I'm going to try and make sure that I prepare a little bit more for this one. But I think Johnny Walker should get this one done. I mean, it's MMA, and Johnny Walker sometimes looks good, sometimes doesn't look good. So it's kind of challenging. But my official pick and my subscribers' official pick is Johnny Walker. I'll break it down a little bit more when I go live for final predictions. Um, so back to Josh Quinlan versus Fujit. I feel like it was a close fight, so I can't necessarily say who won for sure. And in those kinds of fights, I don't like to have an opinion about who wins the decision because it was close. So whenever it's a close fight, it's hard for me to say who got robbed or who should have won because it was a close fight. I wouldn't have been upset either way. I could have said that for me personally, maybe it was because I'm biased. I picked Quinlan, so obviously when I look at the fight, I'm going to look at whoever I picked and more accurately than the other guy. But I feel like Fujit was landing a little bit more cleaner shots, even if they were not effective or rather they were not significant. But he was landing a little bit more cleaner. Whereas I feel like Josh Quinlan was punching air. He was throwing, but he wasn't landing as much. Like he was literally punching air. So I feel like, Fujit, I think he deserved to win that one because he was landing a little bit more cleanly. So yeah, bro, what do you think? Bro, can Pavlovich win against Alex? Because Alex resume is too good. Plus, I think he has the potential to beat Sergey. You are making me break down these fights here. Um, my official pick is what do you call it? Alexander Volkov. My subscribers picked Sergey Pavlovich. I'm not going to break down the fight now, dude. Like you're going to ask me questions about the entire fight card. I'll give you my reasons on the final predictions. Like I said, just turn on your notifications so that you get notified when I go live, and then you can freely ask me any questions. As you can see, I reply to these comments whenever you ask questions. Whenever you ask questions, I reply. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to respond to, dude. Like, wait for me to do the final predictions. Let me respond to this one. I'm no longer going to answer another question. My reason for picking Alexander Volkov is largely because I feel like Sergey Pavlovich on his rise to the top, and this is one of the reasons why I picked Tom Aspinall. to beat him. Alex should win if he doesn't want to lose the belt. No, Karma. We're talking about Alexander Volkov versus Sergey Pavlovich. So back to Sergey Pavlovich. One of the biggest reasons, I'm not going to explain everything here, but one of the biggest reasons why I picked Alexander Volkov is because on which is the same reason I'm picking Alexander Volkov, or rather, one of the reasons I picked uh, Tom Aspinall to beat Sergey Pavlovich, even on short notice, is the same reason I'm picking Alexander Volkov. It's largely because I feel like Sergey didn't fight high level strikers on his way up. And I feel like if he fights people who can strike, so people like Cyril Gahn, I feel like will be able to beat Sergey Pavlovich. Um, Look at the people that Sergey has beaten on his way up, right? What do you call him? Taito Ivasa. Taito Ivasa has been on a losing streak since he got into the top five. He has beaten Curtis Blades. I mean, Curtis Blades is a wrestler, is a grappler. He's not a. I mean, his striking has been improving, but I can't call him a striker. And then he beat, I think, also Derek Lewis. I mean, Derek Lewis is not like he's just a power puncher. He's not like a good striker. Alexander Volkov has reach, has good striking. I feel like he's a little bit more accurate and he's a little bit more defensively good. Okay, I'm breaking down this fight and I didn't want to do this. Dude, I think I've answered your question. Just look at the people, the strikers that Sergey has fought on his way up, and then look at the strikers that Alexander Volkov has fought. He's fought Tom Aspinall, he's fought Cyril Gahn, and he took Cyril Gahn to a decision. And look at the first time that Sergey Pavlovich faced a striker. Look at what happened when he faced Tom Aspinall. So, but with that being said, I feel like it's going to be a coin flip. I mean, Sergey has power, so it could go either way. Like I could be wrong horribly, but I am sticking with my pick of Alexander Volkov. So yeah, there are people who are coming here. Um, I get busy, get busy, Gadla. Um, so so thanks, buddy. Okay. On to the next one. On to the next one. There are people at the gate. I don't know why they're waiting there. Anyway, you got me off track, dude. Quinlan versus Fujit, right? Um, yeah, I got this one wrong. Let me move on to the next one. Almabayev versus Johnson. I think Almabayev is really good, and buddy, I have put my money on Calvin, and that is making me a little nervous. As you said, I've also put my money on Alex. Thanks, buddy. Let me see. Alex should win if he doesn't want to lose the belt. Yeah. Okay, Avira Awati. Look, I also the next fight card is going to be a very tricky fight card. I'll break down the entire card live. So even on that one, you put your money on Calvin, which I think he has a high probability of winning, but a lot of people are mad at me for this particular pick. But I picked Daniel Rodriguez, and I'll explain myself when I go live. My subscribers went with Calvin Gastelum. I went with Daniel Rodriguez, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I'll explain myself for why, right? Bro, what do you think about Venom Page? He's fighting Gary. No, man, I'm not. I've been answering questions that are not related to my reaction. I'm going to do predictions, live predictions, guys. Don't do this to me. Um, yeah, don't do this to me, guys. Like, any thoughts on that fight? Okay, Michael Venom Page is going to win that fight. That's my unofficial pick. On to the Almabaev versus Jose Johnson. Um, I think Almabaev performed exceptionally well, largely because Jose Johnson had a height advantage, which I felt like would be a significant problem, especially if he couldn't take Jose Johnson down. So I feel like how he performed was really, really, really good. It was very decent. I think people are being hard. I don't. I've seen a couple of people who are saying, "Well, Amabayev is not that good," and whatever the case is. And to me, it's like I feel like he dominated that fight, and especially fighting someone who's, I think, a weight bully. I think he did exceptionally well in that particular fight. So I think Almabayev has a really good future in that particular division. I just feel like he's going to have to improve a little bit more. But for him to actually fight like that against someone who has such a massive advantage in terms of height and reach, he did really well. So obviously, my subscribers and I picked Almabayev. On to the next one, Brady versus Garrett. This one also got performance of the night. I picked Garrett, um, and I think this fight is similar to which fight? To the fight at the beginning, which was, yeah, this fight is similar to Costa versus Shailan. Um, because I feel like Garrett was winning, and for whatever reason he got tired, and it cost him the fight. Which sucks. I mean, I don't know. Let's see how Brady performs going forward. I still don't feel like he's really good, but I can honestly say that the guy has heart, and he was fighting throughout the fight. And the most, I think people are skipping over this, but I remember in between fights before the last round, um, one his coaches said that this is Hainston territory or something like that. And he was motivating him. It's sort of like the Leon Edwards moment whereby he was like, "Don't let him bully you," and all these type of things, like those final moments before the finish, and I feel like his coach, or rather his corner, deserves a little bit of credit for pushing him and motivating him to tell him, you know what, you need to finish this fight. You are going to lose. You need to finish this fight, and he delivered, and that was impressive. I don't know how that's going to translate moving forward, but yeah, he got the finish. I actually we picked rather, Garrett Anfield. Bro, previous fight night, I have put my money on Jega, and that motherfucker lost due to it. I lost my parlay. Sorry, my dude. That's why I like doing live predictions, because normally in those live predictions, I always say when I'm confident on a particular fight. And sometimes, guys, this is advice that I can give everyone. If you're not confident in a specific fight, like sometimes even if you're confident, always look at the possibilities of what could cause a loss. And if there's any possibility, obviously in MMA there's always a possibility, but for example, if you are betting on someone who has like a 60% chance of winning, it's not worth it in my opinion. Always bet on someone who you feel like this person is going to win definitely, right? So that's what I do when I go live. When I do my predictions, if I'm confident, I tell you this person is probably going to win this fight. And did I say for Bergen? What do you call her? No, I didn't. I don't think I had any locks on the previous fight night. But just avoid the fights that are a bit risky, even if it means skipping a fight night and not betting on any fight. As long as that's a responsible way to actually um, spend your money, as opposed to taking risks that will end up costing you too much. If I'm 100% sure about fights, but you know what, sometimes even when I'm right. For example, UFC, the previous fight night, I got 11 out of 14, right? And then two of the people that I said were locks actually lost. Out of the three fights that I got wrong, two of them were the people that I felt like these people were supposed to win, and they lost. So sometimes, just go with your gut, but only pick the person that you feel like this person is going to win for sure. Um, but I'm sorry, man. I mean, Jaka tricked all of us. I, I also picked Jaka. My subscribers also picked Jaka. I actually think every MMA channel on YouTube picked Jaka to win. I don't think there was anyone who was picking Weston Wilson. So don't feel bad. I mean, if we that like this is what I do on a weekly basis. I mean, we all got it wrong. So don't feel too bad about it, man. If we couldn't see it, I mean, you can't be too hard on yourself for not seeing it yourself. Um, this was definitely my favorite fight. Four sub attempts and one knockdown. Yeah, it was a good fight. I feel like Calvin had slowed down since but he still has power to win this fight. I feel okay. I mean, I can respect that. Bro, I never gamble on MMA boxing. You can't trust the judges. Yeah, man. The judges, especially if the fighters usually go to a decision, it's a very risky thing. Especially because I feel like the judges sometimes only pay give their favorite fighters the win sometimes, not always, but there are some robberies whereby you are like how did you score this like this, so and ultimately we forget that judges are people and people have favorites, and sometimes if you are the judge and you are deciding who's winning. I mean, like, you know and sometimes like their family members maybe are betting on these fights, and I mean, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but sometimes when you see these horrible scorings or whatever the case is, you end up asking yourself a variety of questions. But yeah, it's hard. But I think MMA, there's a safe way to actually do it, especially with regards to pay-per-views. I like to say this a lot, um, but I hardly get um, main events, especially pay-per-view main events, wrong. I think I've predicted over, I think approximately 18 main events, right? I think, is it 18, somewhere around that, pay-per-views, and I think I've gotten about three or four, and I've predicted a lot of upsets. So if I was putting money on only main events for pay-per-views, let's say that was my betting strategy, right? Let's say my betting strategy was I'm going to put 1,000 on my predictions for pay-per-view main events only, then I would have made a crazy amount of money throughout the year. Only or even if it's not 1,000, let's say I say 5,000 or 10,000, I would have made a crazy amount of money because the majority of the time when I predict a main event on a pay-per-view, I get it correct. So I guess sometimes it's about strategy and how you do it. Um, every kind of betting is a massive risk, but it requires a strategy, and that's how I use my. That's how I predict fights. Basically, I don't just look at someone and feel like, oh, he looks good. I think he's going to win, or because someone has hype, then I pick them. I don't do that. I look at strategically, and I also look at what will the judges most likely decide if it gets there. So I consider a lot of things when I do my predictions. So anyway, let me reply to your comments before I proceed to the next fight. Buddy, lately judges are making me so nervous. They make everyone nervous, my dude. Um, you can clearly see Pooja Toma fight. She lost. To push Pooja Toma, UFC made her win. I don't think so, man. I disagree. I feel like Pooja, that fight was close. For me, it was close. Maybe, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here. Maybe I'm biased because I picked Pooja, but for me, it's like the Quinlan fight. I feel like it was too close for me to say who won because both of them did something that could have given them the fight. So whenever the fight is close, I don't side with anyone because I believe if you want to win, then don't leave any doubt. Make sure that the judges know that you won, or just finish the fight. So whenever it's a close fight, I don't dispute unless it's like a clear robbery. There have been horrible decisions before, but I don't feel like the Puja fight was a horrible decision. I feel like the fight was too close, and whoever won, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Um, Fact, Average, if you like football, bet on the Euros. Who the fuck are you to predict? Uh, who the F are you to predict? Farid Muradalevi. I don't know who you are, dude, but if you have anger issues, go work on them with a therapist, right? There's so many channels on YouTube. Even UFC predicts. I mean, like, why would you ask me that question? Even people in the comment section are predicting. What kind of a question is that, dude? Farid, you need to go see a therapist, my dude. Like, you seem very angry. On to the next one. Have ever got 100% correct till now? Yeah. UFC 302. I almost got 100%. I for whatever reason, but I don't regret that pick. I picked Mickey Gall. UFC 302, I would have gotten 100% if I didn't pick Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall is the only pick I got wrong for UFC 302. But as far as 100% clean, it's been a while. But I get close. Like, I get those fight cards whereby I get only one wrong, only two wrong, and all these type of things. But I have gotten 100% before. Um, if you bet 10K on main events, you'd be on the beach with a cigar. Yeah, man. Like, I would be making a lot of money, dude. Like, I would be making a lot of money. Unfortunately, I don't bet for a variety of reasons, but also because I feel like it's going to impact how I predict fights. So I don't want to involve my emotions when I predict fights because I'm going to get a lot of fights wrong. Because even if I feel like someone is going to, for example, the Thomas Spinall pick, I wouldn't have made it because I would have thought, no, Sergey is going to win, especially because I would be putting money on it. So, and the more I do this, the more I become better and better. People don't know this, but I started this channel last year, and I feel like, I've grown significantly in terms of prediction accuracy. And that's why I always say, if I'm wrong, if this channel is wrong when it comes to predictions, just know that 99% of every other channel is also horribly wrong. So that's how confident I am in my predictions. If I make a mistake, then know that everyone else is not doing very well. Anyway, let me. I want to finish replying to your. I've learned one thing that now I really bet on preliminary fights. Plus, I will never bet on women. Yeah, that's a safe way to go. I also advise people to do that. Preliminary fights are hard to predict, largely because it's mostly untested fighters or people who've had maybe two or three fights in the UFC, which is not enough to actually tell how good they are. So it's best to avoid them. And women's MMA, I mean, Eduarda Moura was like super impressive on the Contender Series and on her previous fights actually, and then came back and like lost to uh, Denise Gomes. I mean, like, why? So it's not smart to actually bet on WMMA. Don't trust women's MMA. I got all men fight correct in Louisiana and only got wrong in women. Yeah, probably same here. I have put a unit on Poatan and Max in UFC 300. I got much return from it. Yeah, I think UFC 300. I only got um, Alex Pereira wrong, and I only got two wrong. I think UFC 300. Also, UFC 300. I did. My predictions were very good, better than most channels, if not every channel on YouTube. So I remember I did really well for UFC 300. Um, the issue with betting on women's MMA is the fact that they are lighter, so they often struggle to KO each other. Then you are trusting the judges. Yeah, and the judges are horrible, man. Bro, enough talks now. Just go on with the next fight. Sorry, sorry, sorry. I forgot. I enjoy talk. That's why I go live, dude. I enjoy talking to you guys. Sorry for delaying. Kuamba versus Almeida. I think I finished about Brady. Yeah, I spoke about Brady. Kuamba versus Almeida. My subscribers and I picked Lucas Almeida. I feel like Lucas Almeida, I didn't actually think he would look this good. He looked very improved. I was actually worried about Lucas Almeida's my name, my personal name or my channel's name, but I'm sure you can see my channel's name. My personal name is Kotatso Moledi. You can search me on social media. Yeah, that's KGOTHATSO, and then my surname is double MOLEDI. Yes. So I think Almeida looked really good, better than even I anticipated. I actually picked him because I felt like he would win, but this was one of those fights that I felt like was a coin flip, largely because in MMA you rely largely on how a specific fighter, or rather how certain fighters will show up, you know. But for me, I try to look at a variety of things that will make sure that that's why I get a lot of my predictions correct, because I make sure that what I consider is something that actually will tell me how a fighter will come into the fight, or how a fighter will look in the fight, right? So I wasn't very confident about the pick, but I knew that Lucas Almeida was the better fighter in this particular instance. And for whatever reason, my subscribers are very good. Actually, my subscribers got more picks correct on this one than I did, right? He looked good. He looked improved. I was worried about his takedown defense. Um, Dog, that hard to pronounce. Nah, it's fine. I know. Like, I'm South African, so like, it's don't worry about it. If you can't pronounce it, don't even stress yourself about it, man. I know. I understand. Um, so yeah, I felt like the one thing that concerned me about Almeida was his takedown defense. I didn't actually think that he would be able to prevent being taken down, but he did very well. You know, he stuffed a lot of takedowns. So yeah, he looked really good. I hope he continues to look like that, and I hope he continues to improve. I felt like he needed that win, and he looked like he needed that win. And kudos to him, man. My subscribers and I got this one correct at least. Silva de Andrade versus Mouse Jones. This was horrible. I don't know how this was the co-main event. I feel like they should have made Alma Baev the co-main event at least. I don't know who made the decision to say, well, let's put Miles Jones is never an exciting fighter, man. Um, but anyway, I picked De Silva, and my subscribers went with Miles Jones. I feel like I wasn't wrong in my pick. You know, whenever I make a pick, right, I feel horrible if my pick loses via finish. But I feel like in this particular situation, the fight was very close. It was back and forth. It could have went either way. For me, but like I said, I'm honest enough to say maybe I'm being biased because that's who I picked. But I feel like De Silva probably won the first two rounds, but I'm not mad at Jones winning that particular fight, because, like I always say, if it's close, then it's your fault. Like, you shouldn't have got let it get close. Um, but there was nothing impressive about that fight. Um, Miles Jones is busy calling for a main event against Ricky Turkio. I mean, Ricky Simone. I think he said Ricky Simone. I hope the UFC does not do that to us, man. Like, Miles Jones is boring, Ricky Simone is boring. Like, yo, and unfortunately, especially because I have a channel, I have to watch that. Like, I can't say I'm skipping this fight night. So I hope they don't do that to us. Like the UFC, like yo, I honestly don't want to see that fight. To be honest, I don't mind seeing that fight, but maybe in the prelims or the beginning of the main card. But even the main card, featured prelim, yes, it should be a featured prelim, not a main card fight. Miles Jones is not very entertaining. I don't know what tells him that he can have a main event, especially against the Ricky Simone, dude. Like, why not anyone else? Why Ricky Simone? Like, I, anyway, I'll respond to your comments. Let me just finish up because I just realized that we've been here for like 50 minutes because I've been talking to you guys. You guys, and these videos normally take like 30 minutes, and it's almost an hour now. Me sitting here and chatting with you guys. Anyway, my subscribers got the Jones pick correct. Um, on to the next one, Perez versus Taira. My subscribers and I also got this one correct. We picked the Tatsuro Taira. I saw a lot of people criticizing Tatsuro Taira and saying, well, he would have lost if he didn't get the finish. I honestly don't know about that. Let's first talk about the eye pokes, right? I don't feel like they were clean, right? It was mostly Tatsuro Taira doing this. It wasn't like maybe there was one, I don't know, but a lot of the eye pokes were something like this. I don't feel like they were that significant that it impacted the fight in any way, shape, or form. Right? That's number one. The first round was competitive. People need to remember that Tatsuro Taira is is like has so little fights in the UFC, and he was fighting the number five ranked fighter in the UFC, right? So obviously the first round is not going to be the best round for him because he needs to adjust to that particular level of fighter. The most important thing is I saw Tatsuro Taira starting to take over in the second round and all this type of before the finish. I saw Tatsuro Taira starting to okay, let me tell you what I'm laughing at. It's impressive. It's impressive we've managed to talk about this event for so long. I agree because it was so boring. Like obviously it's because we've been getting out of topic. Like we've been talking about the fight night next week and UFC 303. Like that's probably why. But anyway, Tatsuro Taira. I think if they make the fight between Tatsuro Taira and what um Alexander Pantoja, yeah, I think Tatsuro Taira is going to beat Pantoja. It's an early prediction, but I think Tatsuro Taira is that good. Um, the finish was sensational. Um, it was beautiful to see that kind of technique from such a young fighter. So you can only imagine how far this kid can go in the UFC. So there's nothing much to say about this kid, man. I honestly believe he has what it takes to become the champion. And I feel like if you put him in a match against Alexander Pantoja next, he probably beats Pantoja. Pantoja is a little bit older now. He's been through a lot of wars. He doesn't have that much of a cardio. Tyra is a little bit better based on their fights with Perez. Both of them, I feel like Tyra is a little bit better, especially when it comes to grappling. So yeah, man, I feel like Tyra wins that fight. Tyra is an incredible, especially at flyweight. Um, it's gonna be difficult to beat that kid, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs. Um, so yeah, let me respond to you guys before I leave you. Uh, let's see, um, bro, I'm really, really, really hyped for Sharabuddin. Damn, that guy is just a beast, man. I have really high hopes for him. Yeah, I'm also high on Shara, man. Like that's if you saw my reaction to the fight card he was on. I think he was fighting someone Silva. I forgot his name. That dude. I After that fight, I was like, Shara Magomedov is probably the most dynamic striker in the UFC, probably better than Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. And my reason for that is because Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya only throw largely leg kicks and then maybe strikes. Alex Pereira obviously has power. I'm not going to dispute that. But if you look at the kind of kicks that Shara throws, the kind of punches that Shara throws, he's probably one of the best, if not the very best striker in the UFC. However, I feel like if he's not working on his takedown defense, he's going to have a serious problem because he was taken down by someone who I don't feel like is a really incredible grappler. So he's going to struggle, but I'm hoping that it doesn't become a problem for him. But I think he's probably one of the most exciting prospects in the UFC right now, along with maybe Bo Nickel. But I don't like Bo Nickel lately because of like the things that he says. But nonetheless, in the middleweight division, yeah, I'm very high on Sharamagomedov, man. Um, he's a really interesting prospect. This one was a tough watch. Generally, would have preferred to watch Judy versus Fernandez as co-main event. I'm just grateful that it wasn't a five rounder. Yeah, I also agree. I don't know what makes Miles Jones think that he has earned a main event fight because that fight was boring, dude. I honestly don't know what tells him that. It's impressive that we've managed to talk about this event for so long. Bro, seriously, main event was only a little bit exciting. Rest of the card was okay. Okay, yeah. I honestly agree, man. Tank Davis put that man down. Uh I'm sorry, no, no, Sir. You know what? As my channel grows, I'm going to include boxing. I don't want to spoil a lot of things for you guys, but we'll talk about it. I'm going to do a live stream for my 10K subscribers because by the end of the year I'll be hitting 10,000 subscribers, which is a monumental achievement. I want us to talk about the second annual Combat Sports Awards. I did the first ones last year. I want to make these ones really really massive. Obviously not this year. I don't know if it's going to be possible because I'm still going to have to build them up in order to get sponsors on board. But I am going to involve you guys like I did last year. You guys are going to pick who wins. I want us to talk about the categories. I'm going to add new categories and a couple of other things. So um, there's a lot that I'm going to add to the channel as time progresses. But um, I'm not a fan of boxing, my dude. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not being rude, but I hate boxing. Like whenever I see people box, I'm like, use your legs, and then in my head I'm like, oh, it's boxing. So like I don't think I can watch boxing. I think MMA ruined me. Every time I'm watching boxing, all I can think about is why doesn't he just kick him on the leg or in the stomach or whatever the case is. So it's hard for me to watch boxing. Maybe for people maybe there are people who started watching boxing first and then they transitioned to MMA. It's hard for me to watch boxing. I only watch popular fighters who are crossing over to MMA and who are still a little bit in their prime. Like for example, Francis Ngannou, Conor McGregor, those fights I watched. But Anderson Silva versus who's Chow Sonnen, I didn't even watch that fight. I don't watch boxing. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm going to hire people specifically to deal with boxing so that you guys can have that because ultimately this channel is ours. It's not mine. So I have to do what you guys like and what you guys want. But the UFC will be the one thing that I enjoy. Actually, MMA in general. That's the one thing that I'll always be involved in. But boxing is not for me, man. I think Mokaev would have beat Taira, to be honest. I'll take it if it counts, but if as a British champ, nah, Mokaev, I don't think Mokaev beats Taira. I guess we'll see, but the fact that Mokaev, I know it's MMA math, but the fact that Taira was able to finish um, Perez and Makaev couldn't, I think it says a lot. And Makaev's fight was boring. Perez just went through that guy. Um, I don't know, man. I feel like Taira would beat Mokaev, and I'm a big fan of Mokaev. I feel like he deserves a title shot, but I don't know if he beats Taira. Um, they need to book Shara versus Michel Pereira. The beef is there after the backflip on his original opponent. Yeah, yeah. It's not only about that. I think I remember reading about the beef between Shara and what do you call him, Pereira, right? I think it largely stems from the fact that Pereira said something to support what Israel was doing, and obviously Shara Magomedov felt some type of way because children are dying in that particular area in Afghanistan, I think. So Shara felt some type of way. So that's where the beef started. It wasn't just about the backflip. So I agree with that. I feel like that fight should be booked, and on a pay-per-view, I think, and they should be at the press conference. That would be a really really incredible fight, bro. Tony's another fight is coming. Tony, another fight is coming, and I'm not ready to take another fight, man. It really really hurts to see Tony like this. um I think maybe if he loses, it's hard, man, because Tony Ferguson is very popular. So the UFC is doesn't want to cut him large because they can still make money from him, but also Tony doesn't understand that his time is over. If he was at heavyweight, maybe he might have a shot at getting back at the belt, but at lightweight, dog, look at who's holding the belt, dog. Just look at who's holding the belt, and look at the killers who are trying to get that belt. People like Gamrod, Tarukian, um, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gage. Like how do you get back to the belt, dog? Like it's almost impossible to be a champion at lightweight. Maybe other divisions it's possible, but at lightweight, if you become a champion at lightweight, it means you are exceptionally talented because that's one of the hardest divisions to ever become a champion in. So I think Tony Ferguson needs to lose a couple of times in order maybe for it to get through his mind that, dude, it's over. And I don't think anyone is going to be able to tell him that. He needs to experience it. Um, and unfortunately, I think the only way for him to see that if he gets dominated horribly, right? Let me see. The guy Shara is fighting for DDP a few years back. Uh, yeah, yeah. No, I get that, but DDP wasn't as good as he is right now back then. I believe that fighters improve the more they fight better competition. And I don't feel like, and also DDP was having respiratory issues. He was having, I think, or rather nose issues, right? So I don't feel like he was facing the same level of Dricus Duplessis that is champion right now. Um, Let me see. I can't believe Makaev is only 23, man. He looks older, but he's probably got so much improvement left. Yeah, I still feel like he can improve, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see if he does, because if he's fighting like that and is in the top five, I don't know, man. I don't know. Why they didn't put the Tony versus Nick Diaz, I'll never understand. I actually did like a live on that, right? I honestly, my thing is that's why I've been saying that I think Tony Ferguson needs to lose in order for him to understand that it's over. If imagine what's going to happen if Tony Ferguson beats Nick Diaz. Tony Ferguson is going to think, I told you guys, I can still do this. I can still go on a title run. And he's going to get even more brain damage. So it's better for him to lose against a grappler who's probably going to choke him out. So I honestly agree with the matchup because if you put both of them against each other, Nick Diaz quit in his last fight. He didn't lose. He actually quit. Like he was like, nah, dude. Like that's what happens in amateur leagues. It doesn't happen in professional leagues. But Nick Diaz actually quit against, was it Robbie Lawler or someone like that? Was it? No, it wasn't Robbie. Someone. He quit in his fight, and I want both of them to retire. And the only way I think that's going to happen is if they lose their respective matches. Lucas gonna maul Diaz. Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with that. Chiesa will eat Tony alive. I agree. I mean, didn't he got a second round KO anyway? Yeah, yeah. Guys, we have been talking for like 1 hour 5 minutes. I hardly ever do live streams this long, but I enjoy talking to all of you guys. One of my biggest fears and is for my channel to get to 100,000 subscribers or a million subscribers, and I'm unable to respond to the thousands of comments, because right now I respond to every comment. um, that's one of my biggest fears. I want to grow, but one of the other things that scares me is that I won't be able to communicate with all of you the way I am right now. But I promise you guys, no matter how big I become, if I can't respond to all of you in the comment section, I'll make sure that I do a live specifically just to talk to you guys. I appreciate and love all of you guys. Like I say this every single time when I end my live videos, but you guys don't understand how much you mean to me. Like this is not. I don't view you guys. You're not fans. I don't see you guys as fans. I see you guys as my supporters. Without you guys, I don't exist. Um, so I appreciate and love all of you guys a lot. Like I hope you guys know that. Let me respond to the last few comments before I leave. Fair enough, to be honest. I think Tony still has a decent chin, but we don't really want to see a 40-year-old Tony ruin the rest of his life with brain damage. Yeah, yeah, I agree. You got a new subscriber, bro. Um, Thank you, man. Thank you. I hope to see you in the comment section. Go to the short section of the channel. I respond to every single comment. But I honestly want you guys to understand, like, you guys mean a lot to me. Like, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you. That's why I work this hard. That's why, like, if you look at my channel, most people think I have a team. I'm doing this alone, and it's all because of you guys. See, I'm going to do a live prediction for the upcoming fight card. Maybe I think I'm going to also do an upsets video, where I predict the possible upsets. So yeah, look out for that throughout this whole week. There might be new interviews. I do interviews with. If you don't know, I do interviews with a local promotion called EFC, where Dricus Duplessis and Cameron Simon came from. I do interviews with their champions and co-main events and main events on the channel. So there might be a couple of interviews coming up. Bro, last but not the least, helps us to hit a parlay. Okay. I'll try. I think let's talk again. Don't forget to turn on your notifications so that when I go live, it notifies you, because I don't have a specific time that I go live at. Like, whenever I have free time, I just go live and then I do the predictions. So join me live so that if you have any questions, I can answer them, right? Because sometimes I forget, I just go through my predictions and then I forget some information, but it always helps to have you guys online questioning me or asking me questions so that I can try and answer you guys live, so that I just don't pass through specific fights while forgetting some information. You got a new subscriber, bro. Thank you, bro. Let me see. Yeah, I think I answered every question. See you on the next live. Probably it might be tomorrow, it might be Wednesday. Just turn on